Hey guys, I'm back. This is a new puppy that I just got. I named her Luna. She is a Siberian Husky puppy. So some of you know that my first dog, Callie, I got from a shelter that's nearby. Luna did not come from a shelter. I got her from a farmer, um, and they had her whole litter there and whatnot. I wanted to talk about things that nobody tells you when you are thinking about getting a puppy or you have a puppy, especially if you're raising one on your own. I currently have to train her myself. I've had her for about 2 weeks. She's going to be 10 weeks old tomorrow. I got her 8 weeks old. So there's just like a lot of things that I think are different when you're getting an adult dog versus a brand new little puppy. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is that potty training and teething are things that you hear about and you might be familiar with if you've had a puppy or a dog before, but it's a full-time job, especially if you're by yourself. So like I can't let her just run around the house. I can't let her out of my sight. There's too many wires and things that she can get into if I'm not paying attention. And even though the wires are put away, huskies in particular and puppies in general can get into nearly anything. So you want to make sure that even though things are put away, you're constantly watching them. They also are very smart. So if they're trying not to go outside to use the bathroom, they might just use the bathroom on the floor when you're not looking. And it's important in those moments to say, like, nope, we need to go outside, and then take them outside right when they're going to the bathroom or having an accident. She, knock on wood, is almost potty trained, which I've heard huskies are notorious for taking forever to potty train. She's actually doing really well. So we actually use a bell. I can actually show you. So when she wants to use the bathroom outside, I ring this bell, and then my current dog and she will come running, and then I'll take her outside. She rang the bell once already. I don't expect her to learn that just yet because we're literally just starting to have some success. But she has been starting to sit at the door when she needs to go outside, so that's a huge win. The next thing I wanted to talk about are some puppy only costs. So no matter what, dogs are expensive and you need to pay for certain things like routine vet visits, things like that. But there are certain things that you only really have to pay for when you have a puppy. Okay. So besides the normal stuff that you would have to get, like a crate, bowls, those are all like one-time costs. And then you have the recurring fees of like the vet fees and all that stuff. For puppies usually need a lot more vaccines. So, for example, when I got her, she was 8 weeks old and she had like her first round of shots. In fact, she actually didn't have all of them. And so the farmer that I got her from, I asked him if she could get all of her shots before I took her home. So we actually went to the vet that day and got her the rest of those shots. After that, at about 9.5 weeks, she had her second round of shots, and then she'll need her third round of shots at about 12 weeks. Some vets have different opinions on whether they can get them all in one shot or if the heavier ones they should have by themselves and then make a separate appointment. I'm hoping they can do it all in one shot. And I'm hoping it's still going to be safe for her, but that's something you just need to talk to your vet about. They also sometimes need a spay or neuter surgery. So if you get a puppy or a dog, a grown dog from a shelter, usually, at least the shelters around me have done this, they will either have an appointment scheduled where you have to come in and get them spayed or neutered, or they will come already spayed or neutered, and then it's just a small fee on top of your adoption fee. It's generally a lot cheaper, if not free or not an added cost, when you get a dog from a shelter and they're already spayed or neutered. Luna is not spayed right now, so at about 6 months of age, again, this is something it's dependent on what your vet believes is the right time. I'm gonna have to get her spayed, and if you look up the cost on Google, it'll just say like between $100 and $200. That's just another cost that you may not think about. So the third thing that nobody tells you, and this has been our absolute nightmare, has been crate training. So this is my second dog that I've owned myself. The other one being my dog Callie, who's hiding right now. And then my family has had two dogs. So this is kind of the fourth dog that we've trained, and like this is the second dog that I've trained myself, like completely by myself. So from the get-go, the most important thing is being consistent. We've had a consistent schedule every single night of crate training her. However, I don't know if this is a puppy thing or if this is just a husky thing. This has been the hardest crate training that I've ever had to do. And I think when we trained our first family dog, I think I just blocked this out of my memory because it's all coming back to me now, but I don't know if I remember it being this bad. So I'll put Luna in the crate at night and she will scream. And I'm not talking like barking or crying, like it sounds like a monkey, like a tortured lab monkey, like screaming at the top of her lungs like a banshee. And she'll do it for hours on end. The second night I had her, it was 7 hours straight. So I've adopted the method of taking her out anytime she's when she's screaming and then she gets quiet again, I'll take her out because I don't want to reward the screaming. And I'll take her out only for a few minutes. I won't interact with her at all. All I'll do is pull her outside, wait outside in the same spot for a minute or two. If she goes to the bathroom, I praise her for going to the bathroom. And then we go back inside. She goes right back in the crate. We do this a few times every night until she's done. And then when it's morning time, I'll usually wait until she's completely quiet, even while she's already awake because I don't want to wake her up. I'll wait till she's already quiet around the time that I want her to get up, usually around the same time every day, so between 7 and 8 a.m. And then I'll take her out and we'll do our daily routine. It's been so hard. She's been screaming every night. Nothing seems to be working. And then finally, last night, we were doing something that worked. So I saw a video where you do kind of reverse psychology and you actually put a bunch of treats that they like and maybe their favorite toy in the crate. And while they're outside of the crate, you keep the crate door locked. So they see everything that's inside, and then after a while, they'll get a little bit curious and like kind of want to be in there. And it almost tricks them into thinking that they would rather be in the crate than wherever they are now. So I did that during the day. I did it a few times to kind of like instill it in her mind. And then at night, when it came time, I did the same thing. And then we were practicing during the day, like go crate and then reward, go crate and then reward. And having her go in and out with the door not closing behind her so she doesn't get scared that like I'm just gonna throw her in there and close the door. The other thing I wanted to show you that I tried is I picked up 2 products that I think might eventually help. So I got her this diffuser kit. It has the pheromone that the mother makes, so it's like a synthetic version of the mama dog pheromone, and it's supposed to keep them kind of calm. So I only use this for one night. Similar to the brand Adaptil, it's actually I think made from the same company because on their website they advertise that it's made with Adaptil, but basically the pheromone gets released in a little diffuser. It also comes in a spray and a collar. But I put a diffuser next to her crate and it releases pheromones. It should be good for about 30 days, but you can take it out if you want it to last longer. Like I might only do it overnight or when I'm putting her in the crate. I did notice that even though she was screaming in the same pattern last night when we used it, she was settling down a lot faster. And I think it might have to do with that because when I first put her in and she started screaming, I saw her go over and sniff in the general direction of where the diffuser is. So I think it started working. But it's something to try if you're like me and you got to the point where you were willing to try anything just to get any sleep. The other thing that I bought is a calming aid. So these are tablets with melatonin. They have melatonin tablets to help them relax. They also have CBD type tablets. There isn't a ton of research on them, so I talked to my vet and she said, honestly, at this point, you can try anything because the only thing that we can do is give her like a sedative, like a prescription medication, and then she'd have to be on it the rest of her life. So she was like, try everything you can. We just can't recommend it because there's not enough research on it. So some of the things in here, there's some chamomile, passion flower, thiamine, mononitrate, ginger, L-tryptophan, and melatonin. So tryptophan is also found in turkey. That's why at Thanksgiving, you usually, or your family members will usually fall asleep right after eating a lot of turkey. It's got a lot of tryptophan in it. So these are all things that are meant to soothe her. It's good for separation anxiety, supposedly thunder, fireworks, all that stuff. I haven't used it yet though because on the back it says that you can only have it at 12 weeks old and older. She's only 10 weeks right now. So I'm really trying to be careful with her diet. So that's the other thing that you kind of have to worry about is the diet restrictions. So when I got Callie as an adult, she could have like cheese, peanut butter, all this human food, tons of different things. So I had a wide range of low value to high value treats to give her. So there were a lot more incentives when training. For Luna, my puppy, she can't have everything that Callie was able to consume. So I have to be very careful about what I'm giving her and making sure her body can handle it. It's got extra things. There's I think DHA is what they put in a lot of puppy things to help with their brain development. So I want to make sure that there's a lot of good stuff in it for her. I also have to be careful because she's really small. So when I'm doing things like training and she's getting a lot of different rewards, I've been using her little small bites kibble. So her dry food that's like in miniature bites. I've been giving that to her as treats instead so that it doesn't disrupt her appetite or anything like that, or it's not too much for her. So that's another thing that some people don't tell you. And finally, with puppies, especially with smaller breeds, you can't leave them for more than a few hours. So generally speaking, the maximum amount of time that they can hold going to the bathroom is the amount of months they are in age +1. So since Luna's about 2 months old, she can only realistically hold her bathroom for about 3 hours. Now, there's some schools of thought that say, like, let them, like, I had a vet that actually told me, no, let her stay in the crate completely overnight, ignore whatever screaming she has. Even if she has an accident, there was an effort to hold the bathroom, so you can let her do that, just clean her up afterwards. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. Number one, my neighbors would hate me. And number two, I don't want her to get used to sleeping in her own bathroom, because a trainer that I had actually hired for my other dog said that if you get them used to going to the bathroom where they sleep, it's going to be a very hard habit to break. So with this in mind, I have to take her out about every 3 hours or less, or more frequently, depending on if she just ate or if she didn't go the last time we were out, whatever it may be. So that really kind of puts a wrench in, like, if I want to go somewhere or you have plans or something, you always have to make sure that there's someone that can take her out, take your puppy out, or take care of them in that interim, unless you're only planning on being out for like an hour or two. On top of that, and kind of in conjunction with the crate training, sometimes the crate training issues have to do with an underlying issue of separation anxiety. Not all the time, but a lot of the things that Luna was experiencing when I spoke to my vet sounded like separation anxiety. So she'll actually throw her body against the crate. She'll bite on the spokes and actually bent some of them. She will have excessive drooling and panting, and those are all signs of separation anxiety. So what's helpful is when she's doing overnight crate training here, I try to have her in an area where she can still see that I'm there. So rather than sleeping on the floor in front of her crate, I moved her crate to where I sleep, so that while I'm sleeping in my normal place, she knows that I haven't disappeared. Babies go through this, and it's possible that puppies also go through this. So babies go through a stage where they haven't yet developed a concept called object permanence. Object permanence is the concept that when someone or something leaves the room, they haven't disappeared forever. They exist, you just can't see them. In the mind of a baby, and quite possibly a puppy, when something leaves the room or leaves their line of sight, they get scared that it's going to disappear forever and then it doesn't exist anymore. That's actually why the game Peekaboo that you play with babies is so interesting to them. It's because they're amazed that you're actually coming back when you do Peekaboo. So puppies might be experiencing the same thing. I'm not an expert. This is just something that I speculate. So just to help her learn until she learns object permanence and learns that anytime I leave or anytime she goes in the crate, I will always come back. Or even when she's in the crate, I'm still in the room until she learns that. That's just something that's been working for me. So that's another reason that you shouldn't be leaving them for too long when you leave the house, is you don't want them to think you're leaving them forever. So another trick that I saw, and this is from one of the 60 formula videos, so if you don't already watch them on YouTube, the channel is called 60 Formula, and the guy has 2 huskies, and he talks about separation anxiety, crate training, all things training having to do with huskies or dogs in general. And one of the ideas he had is when you're working on crate training, and instead of just leaving them overnight right off the bat, which is something I did and something a lot of people I'm sure do, during the day while you're around, you should put them in the crate for 5 minutes, still be in the room, completely ignore them. After 5 minutes, and once they're quiet, take them out. After a little bit, put them back in, try 10 minutes, take them out. then try again for 15 minutes, and so forth. We did that, and then eventually at the end of the 15 minutes, I actually did another 15-minute session with her where I left the house and ran like an errand and then came back. So it's just kind of getting them used to the idea that like anytime you put them in the crate or anytime you leave, you always come back. So they're not panicking, thinking, I'm stuck here forever, I'm done. But yeah, so those are the 5 things that nobody tells you when you get a puppy. Just to recap, there are puppy-only costs that you won't have to endure if you end up going either through a shelter or adopting an adult dog. Potty training and teething is a full-time job. You cannot take your eyes off them for a second, to the point where like I would bring her on the couch with me, or if I needed to nap, I would make sure I was holding her, so if she moved, I knew immediately when she was awake so I could watch her. Overnight crate training is a lot more tumultuous than people tell you. I, even having dogs before, completely blocked it out of my memory, and then it's the second I started telling people what Luna was doing, they're like, oh my god, I had that with my puppy. I completely blocked that out of my memory because it was so terrible. I completely forgot about that. We don't talk about the pet stuff, right? We only talk about the good stuff. Like, yeah, they're so cute. They also will cost you weeks of sleep. Diet restrictions. So there's all these great products out there. They're not all safe for young puppies. Even things, some flea and tick medications and some treats and things are not safe for puppies. So you have to make sure that whatever you're giving them is something that they can handle and it's not too strong for their little body. And finally, making sure that you know that you can't leave the house for more than a few hours depending on their bathroom needs. So make sure that before you're getting a puppy, that you're ready to do all of these things. A lot of these were an awakening for me, even though I felt completely ready. Luna is obviously now a permanent part of my family, even after 2 weeks. There's no going back from here. It's a permanent decision. And I hope a lot of you treat it the same way as well. All right, thank you for watching. I hope you have good luck with your new puppy. And yeah, bye guys.